had everything in the whole world, but something was missing. Money in the bank account, beautiful house, beautiful anything I ever wanted, but I still had this void that was inside. Right. So I ended up going to jail the last time. Within a 2-year period, I was in jail probably 18 out of 24 months. Man, I stole from my mom. Like, I've done a lot of stuff that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
And,
Welcome back to the BILF Pod, where authenticity trumps authority. Today's guest really redefines the meaning of purpose. He is a father, a husband. I found out he's a grandfather. When you see him, you're going to be completely in awe because I think he's a GILF. I don't know what's going on over here. But his story is really the true testament of empowerment. So welcome to the BILF Pod, Mr. Jonnie Parsons. I'm super excited to have you here.
Awesome.
Are you excited?
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited, definitely.
Yeah. So we're just going to dive in then.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want anybody to know about you?
My name's Jonnie Parsons, and I'm excited to be here. The BILF podcast, and she pretty much hit the nail on the head. So
we're just gonna BILF it up today.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, so I'm gonna dig in. I mean, I already kind of know your story, but I feel like everybody has a story. We were talking before, people talk about the triumphs, but they never talk about the failures that led to the triumphs. And here's the best thing about success is that success, for me at least, is all the failures. That's really what it's all the failures that you learn from, and then you build it into this whole conglomeration of success. That's what I really think success is. It's not like an overnight sensation, but for you, I know your story is pretty rough. So let's get into it and tell me about your background and kind of what happened, and we'll start there.
Yeah. I think like you said, even from being like a young child, I remember actually going to Disney World, and I would be like the kid that was like climbing up on the railing or walking on the high concrete stuff. And my parents were always like, oh, don't do that. And, always tried to protect me. And I think I try to do that for my son as well. But, I was the kid that was like, they said, don't touch the stove. I touched the stove.
For sure.
So I wanted to see why, so I think I kind of lived my life like that from a young age. And, I wouldn't say really like rebellious. I guess it was just more like out of curiosity. And, sometimes it was good and sometimes it was bad. Like, going the route that everybody told you not to go down because they wanted to protect you. You ended up learning from it and excelling. Whereas sometimes it was like you burned your hand from touching the stove.
Right.
So, that was pretty much my life in a nutshell. I mean, I've always been like, a really, I guess you could call it extra, it was, if I played baseball, like I ate, slept, woke up, read the magazines, played, anything that I did, I just was full bore on it. Sports growing up, I think kind of transformed me into being like a team player.
Right.
And being disciplined from a young age. And, I just kind of, I got to do whatever I wanted to do. Right. My family, I was 15 years after my brother and my sister. And then I had a 5-year difference between me and my little brother. So, and my little brother has Down syndrome, Ben. And, so I got to do whatever I wanted. I was the 15-year later after the first 2 kids. My parents were like, yeah, go ahead, Jonnie, do whatever you want to do. And, that, like I said, it was kind of a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. So, I did whatever I wanted, to a certain extent. Even when I would get grounded, my friends in the neighborhood, I would sneak out, and we called, my dad had this blue Astro van, and we called it the Blue Bomb, and it was the police. So like we'd be out in the neighborhood riding our bikes or whatever, and we'd see the Blue Bomb, and everybody dip off in the woods. But it was, I guess you could call it rebelliousness. But I still got pretty decent grades. Like I was a good kid. And I was focused on excelling in whatever it was that I was doing,
Right.
and I think for me, even going into like high school and stuff, sports kept me straight because you had to have good grades to play sports. And I could say that I definitely like I could fit in with everybody.
Right.
I was on the football team, wrestling team, played baseball, played street basketball at night, hung out in the kids were smoking cigarettes in the bathroom. And so I just, I could get along with everybody, and I always had like an outgoing kind of personality where, making people laugh and stuff. So that obviously translated into the party scene, from high school. And I grew up around a family that liked smoking weed. So I thought that was normal. So whenever I got older, I saw them do it. I thought it was something that I would do, and it gatewayed into probably like 11th or 12th grade in high school to drinking a lot, partying after football games. And I got into drugs, at a young age, and wasn't really that big a deal for me until I dropped out of school in the 11th grade, got my GED, went to work. I was making my first year ever working for a company. I made more money than my mom.
Wow.
17 years old, 3 months before my 18th birthday, I made like $46,000 when I was 18.
Wow.
And just from working, like I was only getting like $11.50 an hour, but like 80, 90 hours a week
What were you
overtime.
doing?
I was doing land development. So I actually widened 192 in Holy Paw. We did 26 miles of highway, and I was completely green. They, put me to work on every single crew. And I just, same thing. Like I excelled at it. Like I wanted overtime. They were like, all right, come in on the weekends. You can do mechanic work with the mechanic. So I would help him. We were changing out rollers on, 490 excavators and changing out engines on D6 dozers. And then during the week I was doing the construction work, and I worked on every crew. I was laying pipe, putting silt fence in, grading the roads. I was at 18 years old. I was on a PC 400 excavator, loading 22 off-road dump trucks.
Wow.
And, just moving mountains, figuratively and literally. And so like everything I ever did, I always went full bore. And I showed, I never had to ask for money. They always just gave me a raise because I showed up every day. I had a good attitude, like
Yeah.
never complained. And, I was a hard worker, and got into drugs more in that time frame, and led to my bottom at 21 years old. Was completely done. I had went through like a large amount of money. I'd lost my job. I was on unemployment due to drug use, and I got a DUI. It wasn't called a DUI, but it was because I wasn't 21 yet.
Right.
And they took my license, so I couldn't even get to work. And I spent a bunch of money, basically everything that I had, on drugs. The first time I ever, actually prayed to God, I was on my knees. I was crying.
And these were like heavy drugs?
I was on opiates and cocaine, pretty much everything I can get my hands on. I was like, I got to that point, and I call it my bottom. But my dad, he's a Vietnam vet Marine, and he's the one who raised me. My mom was working full time. My dad hurt his back the year I was born. So he raised me. He showed me how to do laundry. He showed me how to cook dinner. Just instilled values into me that I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to get instilled into them. And obviously my mom worked for the post office. So rain, sleet, or snow, she was doing what she had to do. And so my dad smoked pot for 45 years after he got out of Vietnam. And he was actually clean like 3 years at that time from all drugs and alcohol. And that night that I hit rock bottom, I was praying to God for the first time, and I never experienced anything like I experienced that night. Like I had the presence. There was a presence there that was with me. I was in tears, and I was done. I didn't want to live that life anymore. And the next morning, for whatever reason, my dad, and I was 2 hours away from where I grew up, my dad showed up there and was like, "Yo, Jonnie, you want to come home?" And I got clean that day. Stayed clean till I was 27 years old. And in that time frame, I became a firefighter paramedic. I owned my own landscaping business. Started in
So now you're back on track.
21 to 27. I was back on track. Same mentality as before. but I was working for myself, going to school full time, and I was in 12-step meetings with Narcotics Anonymous. And I met my son's mother. My son was born, Braden. He was born when I was 21 years old, 22, early 22. And like I just, continued to flourish. 28 years old, as I walked into a gas station one day, looked over, saw beer in the freezer, the cooler, and just decided that I wanted to go drink. I disconnected myself from the 12-step meetings. I moved across the state, and that was kind of like my downfall.
Yeah.
And my pride and ego kicked back in straight up. That's what happened.
You're doing well. You're like, I don't need it.
I got this house. I got that. I got a $70,000 truck. Everything with the white picket fence, 4-bedroom house, 2-story house, had my own lawn business. I didn't have a worry in the world, but I was like, I tell people this story is like, I had everything in the whole world, but something was missing.
Yeah.
Like I would come home, money in the bank account, beautiful house, beautiful, anything I ever wanted, but I still had this void that was inside of me. And, I was always believed in God, always very spiritual. And I tell people that today, like I believe in, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, but like, it's not religious for me. It's not religion. It's spirituality.
Right. Makes sense.
Religion's for people who don't want to go to hell, and spirituality is for people who've already been there.
Yeah.
And don't want to go back. So, ended up starting to drink again at 28, and just worse bottom than before. Over the next 4 years, I had lost my career, lost my business, lost custody of my son. I ended up going to jail a few times, signed custody over of my son while I was in the county jail, and just had like this feeling of like I had dug a hole so deep that like it was just easier to just keep digging it.
Yeah.
Instead of like trying to climb out. So I ended up going to jail the last time. Within 2-year period, I was in jail probably 18 out of 24 months.
Wow.
And just in and out, violating probation, and just couldn't stop doing drugs. And then the last time I went, I was actually getting ready to get off of probation. I was clean, but I had failed to pay some money. So they violated me. I went back in, and I was in the spiritual dorm, and that was like where I found God. It was the last thing I tried and the first thing that worked. I felt the freest I've ever felt sitting behind bars.
Wow.
And that was like my foundation for where I'm at now. My wife wasn't my wife at the time. I'd met her, so she was, kind of by my side during that time. And we got out, and I'm like, look, I don't want to live that life no more. I want you, because she gave me the ultimatums. First woman in my life I've ever met that I couldn't manipulate or like she would throw my stuff out by the road. She popped 4 holes in my tires with a knife one time when I was trying to go get drunk. And like she, was the one,
Yeah.
And so when I got out that time, she's like, look, if you want to move back in with me, you got to marry me. Was a very Christian girl.
Yeah.
She was singing in the church, really great girl. And she's like, look, you got to marry me. And like American culture is like, it's just a piece of paper, like I got to test drive the car, whatever. Like that's the mentality that I had. And I remember going to the pastor, and the pastor's like, well, do you love her? And I said, yeah. He's like, well, you should marry her then. So we didn't even have the money to get married. Like we lived in an efficiency apartment. I was making $16 an hour running a bulldozer. She barely, was making $500 a week cleaning houses for somebody. And, we could, like I said, barely afford to do anything. And so the pastor gave us the money to get married, the $80 at the courthouse. And we went to Walmart and bought $11 rings. Went and got married.
Wow.
And
what a story.
That was our beginning, because like from then on, like we built everything we have together. Like she came home one day, she was crying. She's like, oh, this lady's yelling at me. I was like, well, start your own company. She's like, okay. And it's always the leap of faith, right? It's always the being scared and like not real, like thinking you can do it. And it's, but after you take that step, you're like, all right, I'm all in now. There's no turning back. So
true.
And she found a vacuum cleaner on the trash pile, and that was her sign to start her company. And so she started doing that. I obviously was still in the construction industry and just wanted to work my way up. You know, I started on a bulldozer, wanted to be a foreman, became a foreman, wanted to be superintendent, just continuously moved up the chain. And each, you know, project that I would switch to, you know, was like a level up. So I ended up becoming a project manager and learned how to do estimating we built the Bright Line Railroad. I was working for HSR. And, you know, I had gotten a call from another guy that was just starting his company out again. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come in. So I started estimating with him. Within 6 months, we had $18 million under contract. It was me and him in an office. And we found estimators, hired every employee, bought all the equipment, and, you know, built a pretty good foundation of a company. But the guy was just a scumbag. You know, he was not a good person, didn't pay his bills. And I just couldn't get behind him. And so like probably like the third time that he cussed me out, I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to find another job. And I ended up finding my partner for the company that I'm with now. Came in as an estimator, project manager, explained to him the whole 9 yards, like, hey, look, we can make money, you know? And the first 6 months there, we had our first contract. And first year we did probably 15 million.
Right.
And site work, land development work. And then that was when he, you know, asked me to be his partner. So I became 50% partner with Alliance Land Development. And my wife's company's flourishing. She had 2 cars, 2 crews, 65 Airbnbs.
Wow.
Doesn't work as much anymore, but she still goes out in the field every once in a while. And, you know, just recently we jumped into, I got custody of my son back as well. That was,
congratulations.
He's lived with me full time for about 3 years. Me and his mom split custody with him now every 2 weeks. He's 15. He's like, he wants to stay in his room all the time.
Yeah, of course. That's what 15-year-olds like to do.
But we get him out. We had season tickets to the Dolphins. We go out and play in the mud. I got, you know, big 4-wheelers and stuff like that. And, but just recently jumped into, you know, obviously building my brand as myself, you know, you figure that out over the years. Like people, you know, you build relationships with people and they follow you if they like you.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter where you work, who you work for. You have a relationship with somebody, they want to work with you. It's not the company. So I realized that about myself, and, you know, folks would tell me, because obviously I don't want to get my ego, you know, boosted up. I still want to try to remain as humble as possible every single day. And they were like, somebody's like, yo, you got a great story. You should write it in a book. Okay. Hey, you got, you know, why don't you tell people how you did that? Just, I was telling you before, like 3 years ago, I was almost 300 pounds. I was 280 pounds. Yeah. And I'm the leanest I've ever been. I weighed myself this morning. I was 208 pounds.
Ooh, congratulations.
And, but just, I mean, it took 3 years, you know, it's okay. It's not, you know, an overnight type deal. And, you know, that everything that's happening to me almost kind of happened by default. Like it just falls into your lap. If you stay consistent and you stay disciplined.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously setting goals, and focusing on accomplishing those goals, you know.
Yeah, you're doing, I mean, so there's like a few things that I pulled out of the things that you're saying. Number one, I'm sure you do listen to a lot of people speak, but they say the one most important but I would say one most important thing that you have to have when you're running something successful is to have a partner that is equally vested into you. So that's number one. I would say that it's the same way for my husband and I. You know, he's my biggest cheerleader, greatest fan, and it's always important. That's what they always say, that you have to have somebody that is your counterpart that is extremely supportive. Mm-hmm. But more interesting, there was a lot of setbacks in your life, a lot where many people, and I think a lot of times it's a lot easier to throw in the towel and just be like, fuck it. I don't want to do this. I'm at rock bottom. How am I going to climb my way out of this? And it didn't happen to you once, but it happened twice. So you could have easily been like, you know what? I'm done. It's so much easier for a lot of people to say that. But I think that your story really gives a lot of people a lot of hope that it doesn't matter. And I say this constantly. One of my famous lines that I say is you can fire yourself one day and rehire yourself the next. And it's so true in your case that no matter how bad things got and how big that hole seemed to be, you managed to climb your way out of that. And I think that's really important for people to understand that addiction is a real thing, right? It's a real thing. That's what it is. And addiction definitely limits us in many ways, but it doesn't define us. And I love how it didn't define who you are. So I took that from what you said. And then your perseverance, like it didn't matter if the going got tough, you might have got going for a little bit, but somehow you were able to come back. And especially, I love what you said also about spirituality, your relationship with God, I think, or whoever you believe in is completely different, right? It doesn't matter. And your spirituality, you're right, I think is what keeps us connected, however that looks. And it's different for everybody. So those elements in them. So I would say you had like 3 great elements in your life. You had a supportive spouse or a supportive partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the mentality that you're going to keep going, right? And then you also have perseverance, and that's important. And I think no matter what's going on, whether it's mental illness or addiction or whatever it is, that, it's there, it's always going to be present, but you don't have to use it as a crutch. It doesn't, it's real, right? It would have been easier to be like, look,
doesn't define you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm an addict. Like, what do you want from me? A lot of people say that I'm an addict.
I don't even claim it over my life anymore.
Right. Like what I suffer so bad from anxiety. And I could have easily been like, well, I have anxiety. I can't go to work. I can't do it. But that's just part of who I am. It doesn't, it doesn't define all of who I am.
100%.
So,
and it makes you unique, right? Because, I think
it's all part of the story.
Everybody has like a little bit of like maybe Asperger's or a little bit of, everybody has ADD or everybody has, like, it's not who you are, like, but if you claim that over your life, like, oh, well, I got autism. I'll never be able to do that. Well, guess what? You've already failed before you tried because you said you couldn't do it.
Yeah. I think your belief in yourself specifically says a lot about your character too, that no matter what has happened, you've been able, I think you said it best, is consistency. It's not, can't just, the one thing I think people really don't understand, whether it's, building a business or building your body, you can't just do it like sporadically, right? You have to do it all the time. And it's not instant results, because you said it took you 3 years to lose the weight and build your body. So it's sticking with it, and it shows discipline. It shows, consistency and all of intentionality and working with purpose. And so many people forget those principles in life. And then they look and they're like, I don't understand. Like, what happened?
I think we all hear it growing up.
Yeah.
Like society wants us to believe that it's instant, right? That you can just buy a pill or you can take the, something and you're going to be skinny, or you're going to be, don't have anxiety anymore. No, that's just a temporary solution to an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
It ends up becoming like a mindset thing. And until I actually did it and then started seeing results, I always just would start seeing results and be like, oh yeah, I can see like 3 abs, and then quit.
How do you keep your focus? I mean, that's hard. That's really hard, especially with losing weight or building a business. How are you able to what keeps your focus?
I think habits.
I think
doing the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
And then even if I do the same thing every day. I'm very much a creature of habit. So, but good habits versus bad habits. So,
going to the gym, habit.
Waking up in the morning and doing the same thing every morning, reading my Bible before I, leave the house. I'm, kind of just getting myself spiritually ready. And I haven't, it's been such a long time that I haven't done what I do now that like, I don't know what it is to just be meandering through life like I used to.
Yeah.
Like before I walk out of my door in the morning, I'm armored up, and I guess that's how. And I just like set my day. Like I know what I have to do before I even leave the house. Like I have my schedule set for the day. I already
use a calendar.
Not really. Like people think I'm crazy. I got a good friend of mine that's been a real big. I call he got me off of the bench. We'll call him that guy, right?
Yeah.
He got me in the game. So, He's like, man, I told you got to use your calendar. I'm like, man, Ray, I don't know. I got it all here. And
I would say you got to use your calendar. Well, you're young still.
I'm
You're not even
like,
40. You're not 40 yet, right?
No.
Yeah,
next
that's
year.
why. See, that's when I turned 40, it was
But
different
I'm learning
for me.
how to like talk to my phone now and stuff. I saw
Oh, yeah, you can set alarms.
Yeah.
That
so
works.
I'm like moving in that direction.
All right, you're going to get there. You're going to see, because once you turn 40, the brain starts like you're going to see. I do the alarm thing, and I never thought I'd use a calendar, and I do use the calendar. I use anything that I do, because I'm same thing. Like, oh, I'll remember. But once you turn 40, it ain't going to be like that. I'm telling you, and the more businesses and podcasts and everything else, you're going to have some kind of system.
I'm definitely moving in that direction for sure.
You're finally coming.
I'm putting on paper like what I'm going to do for the day or for the week. And like I said, I'm starting to utilize the technology to be able to help me out. So
you're still using paper though. You can put it in your notes, you know?
Sometimes, yeah. So some things it's better to put on paper.
Yeah, I agree. I still use paper for some things. I do. I use paper when I want to write my thoughts out and what I have to say. I still will use paper. But I do use the notes. I am in the technology era. I'm getting good. I set the alarm. So I look at my calendar every day in my Google Calendar. And then I set the alarm because, the brain after 40 ain't remembering everything. And then I set the alarms.
Oh, in my business, that's what, someone will tell me something and I try to delegate it. So I'm like, oh yeah, send me an invite.
And see, that works though, but that's in your calendar.
I just recently learned how to do the invite myself.
Congratulations. Welcome to the 21st century. I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
I'm glad now as you continue to grow, you're going to have to learn it even more.
But I've been a guy from the field. Like I was never in the office until like a few years ago. So
I get it. I was in the field too selling. I get it. But okay. So I also know that you use faith a lot, right? And there is a theory that when people go to jail or, something, they hit that all of a sudden they discover God, or faith, not just faith in general. Do you think that was true in your case? Or do you think, because you've always been kind of spiritual, you said?
I've always been kind of like that guy that notices nature. And, I think when I was in the 12-step realm, I always said God, but I never really I called it like the great outdoors or, good orderly direction. And I think that the 12 steps set me up for believing in Jesus as my Lord and Savior, because I look back on my life and I saw that something was there the whole time.
Right.
Like something was protecting me. Like I should be dead. I should be in prison. I shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, I believe that. I do believe that too.
And something was there protecting me and sparing me for what it is that, maybe I'm doing now. I think my purpose, it kind of changes as I grow and change.
Yeah.
And so I just did 2 years serving in a student ministry with high school kids. You could have never told me that I would even want to do that years ago, but it's kind of I don't know. It was something that I believe was part of my journey.
Yeah. I think that God doesn't give us anything that we can't handle. I know that's a little controversial to say because it depends on your belief, but I think that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that nothing is given without the understanding that someone is not going to be overwhelmed with something they can't handle. I do believe that a lot. So for you, when someone's feeling, because I'm sure you felt like this, because you said you had it all and, you hit rock bottom. So what happened? What kind of advice would you give to somebody that's feeling overwhelmed, no direction? Where do you start? If you're feeling like that, you're feeling that emptiness.
I feel like that if you dwell on the being overwhelmed, then you're just going to stay overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I know that now, that no matter what happens in my life, good, bad, or indifferent, I have to go through it. I can't be like, oh, well, let's deal with that next Thursday. Yeah. No, let's just face it and solve it and get to the bottom of it. And maybe sometimes won't ever be able to solve it, but at least get through it. I think there's 3 things that happen to people in life. You're either going through something, you're fixing to go through something, or you're coming out the other side.
Right.
So it's how am I going to deal with it?
Yeah. So don't avoid it. You're saying face it, whatever it is.
Faith. What is faith? Faith is trust. You're trusting and you have faith. You believe that even if the outcome isn't what I want it to be, I still got to deal with it. So I got to be okay with it. So I think true faith is believing that I'm going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah. So you think people kind of that are feeling that they're feeling directionless, or they're feeling like they're just not dealing with what's in front of them.
Well, you get caught up with the what ifs. Well, man, if I walk outside the front door, I could get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, or you could get struck, but you get caught up with all that stuff that could happen, and you focus on that, then guess what? You're going to focus on all the things that could happen. Or you could be like, hey, guess what? I'm just going to go and be led, and whatever happens kind of happens deal.
Yeah. I think we're our own worst enemies.
100%.
Right? That's what I really think it comes down to. So like when it comes to mindset for you, when someone comes to you saying, I'm stuck, what's the first coaching question you ask them that breaks the mind wall?
Well, I mean,
or the mindset of that wall. I don't know why I said mind wall, but mindset of that wall.
I would say, what are you stuck on? Because I mean, that's where you got to kind of isolate what the problem is.
Yeah.
And that's what coaching is. Because most of the time you're not giving people answers. You're letting them find that, you're empowering them to find the answer themselves. So that's from my experience with people that have coached me. Like nobody was like, hey, you got to do this, because it's like a diet. I could do the celery diet and I would lose 400 pounds, and then you eat celery and it's like celery doesn't do nothing to me.
Yeah.
So everybody has to find what works for them, and
Agreed.
then and then stick to it. Like if it ain't spiritual, it ain't practical. So we just got, practice it.
So I think the biggest thing for people is sticking to the regimen. So if somebody came to you and said, listen, I want to do X, Y, and Z. So kind of like what we're talking about. How would you get them to, I guess, believe, or how do they stay the course? Like, what would you tell somebody that wants to lose weight or wants to build a business? Like, how would you help them keep that discipline?
Same thing. Like I just said, like, I'm just like a guidance, right? The people have to want it.
Yeah.
Anytime that I've worked with people, like they've done the work. All I did was I give them a couple answers. I had a guy talk to me. It was what we were talking on social media last week. He's like, yeah, I met this guy. I paid for his coaching program, and man, he's really got me on the right path. And I'm like, he didn't do anything.
You did.
You did it.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, I can't take credit for what these people have done that I've just been associated with. They're the ones that did all the work.
I love that.
All I did was like, there's a difference between like telling someone what to do and then empowering them.
How do you help them believe in faith like you did? If they have no faith, a non-faith-based person, or have you, I should ask, have you ever gotten somebody that is a non-believer in whatever their belief, whatever their higher being? Have you ever been able to empower someone to believe in faith or a higher being?
I think no matter which way you look at it, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, there's a reason why 12-step works. There's atheists in there. There's all kinds of stuff. But it's a mirror image of a church congregation. But, prayer, praying like you've already got what you want, and faith. I mean, faith, trust in whatever it is. If it's your higher power, if it's Buddha, if it's whatever, you look at any religion, and religion was created to divide, in my opinion. Like,
agreed.
And that's why I say that I'm spiritual, because
agreed. I agree with you.
It's all of them are the same. They're just different.
Yeah.
And they all have the same common goal.
Yeah. I agree.
So there's a reason why it works, and
you got to trust it.
And that's all. I guess I would guide somebody in the direction of like whatever it is that they believe in, to show them that it's the same principles.
I would agree. I would say in business too, like when we get new agents in, we always say, trust the process. Well, we know it works. That's why we know it works. So trust it, trust the process, trust those that have already done it. And the best thing is you can learn from other people's mistakes. So you can use that to make yourself better. I mean, that it's like a no-brainer. And some people just don't understand that, whether it's faith-based or business-based, you can apply both principles. So, all right, I'm going to shake it up for a second. All right.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about, this is like faith or fiction. Okay. These are discipline myths. All right. So you're going to tell me if it's faith or fiction.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful.
No.
So it's fiction.
It's fiction.
Okay. What time do you wake up?
I wake up at 4, but on the weekends I wake up at 8.
Yeah.
And I still do the same thing that I did when I woke up at 4.
Okay. Balance is real. You can have it all, even if you plan hard enough.
Fiction.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Gotta have balance.
I think balance in what sense though?
Well, if you don't balance, you'll learn the hard way that you need to balance. So that, like, for me with like my extracurricular stuff, obviously my bread and butter is what I do for a living. And it's no matter what, I'm there from 7 to whatever hour in the afternoon. But in the evenings, there's other things that I do, whether it's the men's group, whether it's doing the student ministry, like we were just talking about. But then, you start realizing like, hey, I'm gone 3 nights a week. Where's my most important ministry? Sitting at home playing on their phone, my wife and my son.
Yeah.
So there's a balance that I had to find, that if I wanted to keep my marriage and wanted to keep my son from going off the deep end, that I had to, spend time with them too.
Yeah. I call it work-life priority, because I don't know that there's always a balance. Like sometimes my work is going to take precedence over my personal life. I mean, of course, if my personal life is in dire need of something, of course, but then that's priority. That's what I put first, because sometimes you have to sacrifice, because everything in life worth having, you got to do a little bit of sacrifice. So
100%.
All right, next one. Discipline kills creativity.
I wouldn't say so, because even being disciplined, like you still have to reevaluate your situation. So you still have to like take an inventory of where you're at, if what you're doing is working. So you still have to be creative in that sense, as far as like, hey, all right, I got this figured out.
Yeah.
Let's start working on this.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good answer. Which one of those myths have you personally had to unlearn on your own journey?
Unlearn?
Yeah.
I would say the balance one would be top. That I had to wait. Yeah. I mean, I had to learn it.
Yeah.
But then, yeah.
Because now you have a family.
100%.
So, gotcha. All right, ready. So now let's talk about boss moves. You've turned your personal philosophy into a business, a podcast, a movement. You're coaching kids left and right. So how do you teach entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs to stay disciplined without burning out? That's a hard one. Because you're extreme. I mean, you told me from the beginning your personality is extreme. But I think, well, I'll let you answer. That's not my question. It's yours.
I think it's still, the balance has to come into play there still, because for the businesses that I have started out, and I think you would agree with me too, like your first 5 years is just grind time.
Yeah.
Like,
agreed.
Even with,
like that's what the expectation is.
Same thing. Like I remember when I went to fire school and paramedic school, I was like, they basically told us, they're like, say goodbye to your family for the next 2 years.
I agree. Like, I don't think I think burnout's a cop out.
There's a sacrifice that needs to happen.
Absolutely.
For a period of time. And there has to be an understanding of everybody involved that like, hey, look, this is what's going to happen. It's only for a little bit of time. And if you're on board, you're on board. If not,
Yeah. I hate the word burnout. I think burnout's a really good way to say cop out, because think about all those times you had to keep going no matter what.
Because discipline means chill burnout. It means doing what you're supposed to do even when you don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So I don't think there is a burnout for me.
Yeah, same thing. I'll keep going. I'm relentless. I feel like I'm just relentless. Maybe I'll get a little tired, but I'm not burning out. I'm going.
It's that understanding yourself and like I said, doing that inventory. Like for me, it's like on a daily basis. I'm not perfect at it, but at the end of the day, you're like, did I cuss anybody out today? Do I owe somebody an apology? Do I need to evaluate where I'm at? So just constantly evaluating yourself. Do I need a break?
Yeah, agreed.
So, and I do it. I do take a break if I have to.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you can definitely take a step back, but not because you're burnt out. I think sometimes you need to recharge your battery, but it's not from burnout. It's like a car. The car, in order to move it, it has to be refueled.
Yeah.
But I don't think that burnout, I think it's a crutch. I do. I think it's such a crutch word. I don't.
Because you get through it and you're like,
wasn't that bad?
No. For me, it's every Thursday. Like if I train 5 days a week, at least.
Yeah.
I might get a Saturday if my wife lets me. And Thursday every week is like, man, I'm tired. I
hate Thursday workouts too. That's how I felt today. I don't want to say burned out. Maybe I coughed out a little. I only did cardio. But then you
go, you're like, man, I don't want to do nothing today. You go and you're like, Thursday ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah, right. Like, I hear you. Yes, Thursdays are always the worst though. I don't know. It was the same thing this morning. I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? I went. I did. I only did cardio, but I went. And I was like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I could have done more, whatever. All right. So what is the biggest mindset trap that you see people fall into when they're trying to turn purpose into profit?
I think fear. You're scared of like, oh, I don't want to ask people for money.
That's a
I
good
think
one.
for me, I like helping people. I'll help everybody for free. I
Yeah.
don't care. But somebody, brought it to my attention. Like, look, like my plate's overflowing already. Like, how can I help everybody if I got an overflowing plate? So I have to create my time is valuable. So I need to monetize that in a certain way, and people will pay. If they pay, they're going to pay attention. If you're helping somebody for free, they're not going to take
There's no skin in the game.
None.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I did that myself, investing in myself during my journey. Like,
agreed.
I mean, I think you would agree with me on that.
I think you have to invest in yourself. That's the biggest investment you make. And once you pay, it's a totally different game.
It's a gym membership. It's the supplements you buy. It's
you're more vested.
The books you buy to help yourself. I mean, all that stuff is investments. We just don't look at it like that. But, it's really expensive to eat healthy. But that's an investment I have to make that is going to help me.
Love that. So if somebody right now is wanting to build their brand or their business or whatever, what would you say is one habit they should start today? What is it? 21 days to form a habit, right? So
21 days to make or break.
So what would you say? Give me one hack.
I would say, first one would be to start moving in the direction of disciplining yourself.
Fair enough.
I think the hack would be just to write it down. What do you want?
Love it. Write it down. That's it. Know your why.
We talked. You said something about writing it. For me, like
Seeing is believing.
When I take a pen and a piece of paper, I don't know why I can't speak the way I write sometimes, because I articulate so much better whenever I write it on a piece of paper. And I think maybe it's a creativity. I don't know. But when you write your goals down, or you write, a journal for the day, comes out different.
Seeing is believing. I think it's manifesting.
You could type it, I guess would be the same. But
same thing. You can just see it right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll put it as the screensaver on my phone, so I know that this is what I've committed to.
Like a Post-it note, but you see it, yeah.
Yeah, being impeccable. All right, so here we're gonna go. Ready? Boss round. So these are quick hits, no hesitation. All right. One guest on Discipline Legacy podcast who left you speechless, and why? Or maybe no one has yet.
I would say Steve Townsell.
Why?
He just has the background of coming from, maybe because he's local.
Okay.
He comes from the same town I come from, so he kind of hit home for me a little more than everybody else.
Which of your 3 books challenged you the most to write?
The daily devotional.
Why?
Because it was 365 days, but it was a compilation of like 3 years worth of journal entries, and trying to like combine them with scripture and a prayer and just more. The other 2 books are small. They're short, but.
Love that. One unpopular opinion about personal development.
I would say the same thing I said earlier. It ain't spiritual. If it ain't practical, it ain't spiritual. So if you can't practice at it, then.
Love it. Perfect. All right. Ready? So I have a controversial question for you. You're one of the few coaches, I would say. I think a lot of this is whatever, it'll be controversial for me, and maybe I'll get canceled. I think there's a lot of coaches, fraudulent coaches out there that preach something that they've never necessarily been through or have experience, and they're kind of out there. Maybe they're imposters. I don't know. What we used to call them, like wannabes. I would say that happens a lot. So what would your take on that? Like people that say that faith and business, or faith and it just shouldn't mix together, and like all the, you see these like fraudulent people out there preaching that they're coaches, or they're spiritual, but in reality they're like kind of phony.
Obviously it'll work for a while, but what is your goal with what you do, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's being able to lay my head down at night and knowing that I was able to impact somebody by being authentic versus,
Yeah.
It's not all about money for me.
I think that's number one. I think that realizing that your purpose is far more greater than you and money. I think people can smell the authenticity, but I do think there are a lot of people that portray themselves as people that have been through it. So I would say for anybody that is looking for a coach or some like a mentor, I would do background research on them, because there's a lot of frauds out there right now that are selling courses, they're on stages, they're speaking, and they have not done shit or lived it.
Like the CEO ones, and like, but they're not a CEO.
Yeah, or they've never built a business. Like, what are we doing here?
I mean,
I've never seen you build a business, but hey, you know what? I don't know. Whatever works for them.
Yeah, for a little while. But what is it? The child, you say you sell your soul to the devil or whatever for money, but like the kid actors or actor,
Yeah.
Then they get older and they lose their fortune, or they end up saying,
yeah, that they probably shouldn't have done that.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed. Give us something that you've never ever spoken about. Tell me something about yourself that like somebody would be surprised that you've never spoken about publicly ever.
I pretty much said everything that I've done publicly. I mean, I was a crackhead. I shot heroin, smoked dope. I don't know. I think I pretty much put it all on blast. I don't let the enemy have any power over me.
I like that. Address it. Like it's like the Eminem 8 Mile. That's my favorite movie. Like just say it. Say what it is. This way nobody can say anything about you. Me too. I put it all out there. I have no shame. I was a piece
of junk, man. I stole from my mom. Like I've done a lot of stuff that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't regret it, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't go through everything that I went through. And I think that even as now as a parent, like I see, like, I don't want to shelter my son as much. Like I want him to see adversity. I want him to kind of bump his head a little bit, be there to catch him. Right. But at the same time, we all want more we want them to be better than we were.
Right.
So not just enough, but.
I love that. So as we end our show today, this has been such a powerful conversation. Just hearing about your story and what you're doing and how you're impacting. I mean, you've done in such a short period of time of your life, you have been able, I mean, you've really gone through it. When you talk about somebody that has experienced life, you've experienced it at all ends. So if you could leave our audience with one piece of advice for maybe somebody that's going through something right now, or, somebody that just can't seem to get it together, what kind of advice would you give?
I would say hang on. There's an acronym for hope. And that's kind of like why I do what I do on a daily basis, is because somebody came and was like, gave me hope, is it hang on, pain ends, hope, get it. So just stay the course. I mean, like the same thing I said earlier, you're either going through something, you're fixing to go through something, or you're coming out the other side. Just at some point you'll be at one of those. So
I love that. I mean, everything that you had to say, I absolutely couldn't agree with you more. Now, if anybody would like to find you or reach out to you, how would they get in touch with you?
I would say the easiest would be Instagram, Jonnie Parsons Official. I kind of answer most of the messages on there, but I have a website too, Discipline and Legacy, and it has email on there as well. And
what about all your handles?
All the handles. I have TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
You're all over it. Are you on Threads?
By default.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think I go on it too much, but I'm on there, and somehow that posts to it. So every once in a while I'll get like a message from it, and it's like, oh, I didn't know I posted that there. But
you're there.
I'm there.
You're there you should give all your quotes on there. That's what I started doing. I go on there and I get
just started doing the quotes.
And that's it for today's episode on the BILF Pod. My challenge for you this week is to focus on one of the 5 F's. You might have to help me. I think it's family, focus, fitness, finance, and faith. I want you guys to go ahead and focus on one of those, write about it, tell me a courageous story, something creative. You know what to do. But for now, I want you to like, share, you already know the deal, and subscribe to the BILF Pod. Until next time.